The story you are about to hear is true. On Saturday, October the 28th, I was backpacking in the Cuyamaca Mountains with a group from the church, enjoying some peace and tranquility from the stresses and pressures of pastoring a church and all the unusual things that can go wrong. No sooner had I come down into Alpine after we finished our trip for lunch that day than my phone started dinging with messages telling me I needed to be at the church right away. An accident had happened here. An hour later, I was back and found the church monument on our corner bashed in. I spent the next hours and days, and now it's been weeks, trying to figure out what happened, who's responsible, and what we're supposed to do about it. Welcome home, Pastor Mike. Hope you enjoyed your backpacking trip. Turns out someone had run the red light at College and Mesa and run into another vehicle. And one of those vehicles, a red pickup truck, ended up in our corner monument. Fortunately, no one was injured. The policeman who responded said it was early in the morning. There were no other witnesses. Each driver claimed the other one ran the red light, so he couldn't ticket anyone for the property damage. And the one that ended up in our sign was uninsured. Great. What does that mean? Well, I called around everyone from Rancho Del Oro to the city of Oceanside to the Ranch Management Association that oversees our property. Said that that's our property, that is our responsibility. They have no liability. We have to get it fixed. So I filed a claim with our insurance company. And now they're looking for proof from the city for exactly where the property line is on that corner. And if they determine it is our property, we pay a $750 deductible. We have to get it fixed or torn down and rebuilt, whichever has to be done, and hope our insurance rates don't go up. Now, this has been going on for over a month now, and I have not burdened you with any part of this story because it's kind of an internal thing that we just deal with. But the story has escalated. So last Monday at our weekly church staff meeting, I casually mentioned how nice it would be, since it's the Christmas season, to maybe cover that ugly thing up with a nativity scene. And so our hardworking office manager ran out the very next day and bought one and got a volunteer to help her install a nativity scene to cover that up. And then some more volunteers went and got some straw and came at night and put it all around and made it look more like a manger scene. How does that look compared to the broken wall? Better? Well, no good deed goes unpunished. So on Thursday, while very sick at home, I got this email from our association saying, among other things, that please be advised that the nativity placed at the broken wall is not acceptable with the ranch maintenance agreement and requires immediate removal. And that we will face charges for any damages for the straw on their flowers or trampling. And lastly, please be advised that the board of directors shall have the display removed by end of day tomorrow if it's not done so by the Lighthouse Church. Now, this is curious to me. The same association that says, that's your sign, you have to fix it, that's not on our property, tells us you can't put a nativity scene on our property, their property. So whose property is it? If we can't put a nativity scene up because it's their property, then they can fix the sign. And if that's our property, then we can put up a nativity scene all day long. So complaining about the flowers that they had just planted right before the accident happened had now been flattened. I told Carolyn, could you please get some volunteers? I'd come and do it myself, but I can't even stand on my feet today and get somebody to get that straw up. And so she personally went out and bagged it all up, got it off the flowers, removed it all. On Thursday morning, I was typing my response to the association about all of this. The response would have caused your eyes to catch on fire. When I got a phone call. Now, I've talked to the city manager, I've talked to the Oceanside Police Department, I've talked to the city property manager, I've talked to city council members, I've talked to the local news media, I've talked to a lot of people. And they all agree this was a terrible thing that was done and should not have been done. So I've gotten a lot of sympathy, but so far we're on our own. So as I was typing this email and had worked on it for many hours and gotten input from others and was about to hit the send button, I got a phone call from the same person that wrote that ugly email threatening us. And she apologized up one side and down the other and said, I just want you to know that didn't come from me. Our board president made me send that, and that's not how I feel. You know, it's ridiculous. And of course, the church has a right to put up a nativity scene on its corner. Of course, she had gotten a call from the city's property manager, and that seemed to cause a change of heart. But nevertheless, I accepted her apology, and she said, please forgive me. I'm like, okay, so we're good. She goes, yeah. I said, so everything's okay. We don't have to do anything else. She said, no. I said, well, we got all the straw up. I hope that's okay. Oh, you're fine. So I called everybody and emailed them, told them that it's over. We're fine. We're done. Because, by the way, I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but I happened to find some property maps that we do have, and this dotted line is the property line, and the two walls are well within our property line. Can you see that? And the manger scene was right up against that wall. And so I do believe it was on our property, but I digress. You know, this is like, you can do things to me, but you mess with my mother or grandmother, you're going to have a fight. You know what I'm talking about? You can say what you want about me, but you go tear our nativity scene out of our property, you got a fight coming. So, as soon as I hung up the phone, from telling everybody it's over, we got the straw up, everybody's going to be happy now, I think everybody's satisfied, I got a call from her again saying, our board president is up at your property right now tearing out your nativity scene. I said, you're kidding. I thought we had an agreement. She said, I thought we did too, but he's decided otherwise. So even though I was sick, I threw my clothes on, came flying up here as fast as I could. I just lived down the street. And when I got here, this is what I found. That's our nativity scene over our wall behind where nobody can see it on the ground in pieces. He had personally had it removed. Now, I'm sharing all this with you because you're going to hear why in a moment this is so time sensitive, or I wouldn't be taking such time this morning. But he's got a problem. If that was on our property, that is a federal crime to remove religious property from religious property. And even if, let's just pretend that somebody built that concrete monument for us right up against the property line, which usually does not happen. It's usually set back, right? Let's pretend it was right up against it. What kind of person removes a church nativity scene like that and just destroys it and throws it over the wall? The president of our association. If you would like to write them and let them know what you think about this, I have slips at the front desk, and I hope everybody that feels convicted will write them and let them know what you think. He would not provide his phone number, his email, or his address, but we can get to him through this person. So I hope you will take a slip and write a note. Now, is the story over? No. So this is how it looks now. We're back to the broken wall. Some straw remains where our nativity scene was for a few brief days. I've complained to the city. I've called the local news media who may be here this afternoon. I have talked to our insurance company and just about everybody I can, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get a determination of exactly where the property line is. In the meantime, we're going to gather at 4 o'clock today to do what Christians should do. We're going to both protest and pray at that corner. And if you would join me, meet at the church parking lot at 4 o'clock. Bring a candle, bring a jacket. It'll only last an hour. We're not going to do anything violent. I've talked to the police department. They say you can stand on those sidewalks and protest all day long. Have at it. Everybody's sympathetic. Jason's going to come, lead us in some songs, and we're going to sing, we're going to pray, we're going to protest, we're going to ask for God to intervene. This is crazy, folks. This is the kind of thing you read about in the newspaper that happens somewhere else. I just can hardly believe it's happened here. But if we don't do something, what kind of Christians are we? If we don't stand up for the right to express our faith, then we're letting other churches down. So I hope you will stand with me and do something, whether it's to write or show up or both or whatever. But this isn't over yet, and we're going to pursue it till it is. So to wrap all of this up, I'd like to say, would anybody like to go backpacking?
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Hey. Merry Christmas!
Hey, big dog!
Let
Let go! Merry Christmas!
The nativity scene outside of an Oceanside church has opened up the issue of property lines. This all started back in October when a traffic accident damaged the monument in front of the Lighthouse Christian Church. Now, the church says it was told at the time that it was their responsibility to fix the damage because it was on their property. So the church staff put up a nativity scene in front of the monument, figuring that that was a good way to block the huge gash until it could be properly repaired. But now the church says its local homeowners association has decided that it was actually on their property, so they had the nativity scene removed.
I understand from the police officer that I called about this that this is a felony to vandalize religious property. So someone could be in serious trouble over this once the property line is determined.
And CBS News 8 did reach out to the property management company, but so far they have yet to respond.
church members in Oceanside are in disbelief tonight after their nativity scene was damaged and stuffed into trash bags. Tonight, they rallied to have it restored. 10 News reporter Matt Boone spoke to the pastor, who says this all stems from a dispute over the property line.
The nativity scene went up on a concrete retaining wall outside of the church. You can see it had been damaged. That happened during a crash in October. At the time, the HOA said that was church property. They were responsible for fixing it, but when the nativity scene went up, things changed. This is what the scene looked like on Thursday when it was first set up. The pictures were sent to Pastor Mike Openshaw by the HOA property manager, demanding he take it down.
I got an angry email from the association on Thursday saying that nativity scene is on our property, and either remove it by end of day tomorrow, Friday, or we will remove it for you.
After some back and forth, Openshaw says he got a call on Friday from the property manager telling him they were removing it already, and came back to this.
Mary's head is dismembered and everything's cockeyed and in pieces on the ground.
The damage in the wall was from an unrelated crash weeks before.
What motivated it was to cover this ugly gash in the wall until it could be repaired.
The driver was uninsured, so the church asked the HOA who would pay to fix it.
And everybody said, you do. It's your sign on your property, so you have to repair it.
At a peaceful protest, parishioners expressed confusion and disappointment.
They ripped our nativity apart.
It's just torn to pieces.
We even talked to our pastor, and I'm sure something could have been resolved.
Pastor Openshaw says he wants a resolution too, but with one stipulation.
They can't have it both ways. If that's our property, then we can put a nativity scene up on it. And if it's not our property, then they can fix the monument.
Now, we've reached out to the HOA as well as a company that manages payments between the church and the HOA. They've been serving as an intermediary, but we haven't heard back. Reporting in Oceanside tonight, Matt Boone, 10 News.
Thank you, Matt, and hopefully we'll hear from the HOA on this.
Members of a church in Oceanside gathered together yesterday, but not for a church service. The congregation came out to protest for their right to have a nativity scene in front of their church. Here's the issue. It comes down to who owns that land right in front of the Lighthouse Church in Oceanside. The Ranch Maintenance Agreement Board says they're in charge of that piece of property. And then the church's pastor, Mike Openshaw, says the board took down the nativity scene on Friday.
I got an email from the association demanding that it come down by Friday, end of day, or they would take it down, and they were going to bill us for any damages. I found the nativity scene as you see it behind the monument in a jumble, all disconnected.
Well, NBC7, we reached out to the representative of that management board to find out why they removed the nativity scene. We have not heard back yet.
Church is protesting the destruction of its nativity scene by a local homeowners association. The Lighthouse Christian Church says the Ranch Maintenance Agreement Board had the nativity scene removed, arguing it was on their property. CBS News 8's Heather Hope is live at the church with the latest on the dispute. Heather?
The city of Oceanside is stepping in. They'll be out here tomorrow morning to show the church property line. This after the church's nativity scene was removed by that maintenance group, saying that it was on their property and not the church's.
Honk the horn, man, if you love Jesus.
Sounding off after their nativity display was dumped.
Who can find problem with that?
It's crazy.
Members of Lighthouse Christian Church in Oceanside camped on the corner of Mesa Drive and College Boulevard with signs saying, "Save our nativity," and singing, "We shall overcome." The church learned property manager RMA, or Ranch Maintenance Agreement, trashed their manger scene, saying it was on their property, not the church's.
We found the nativity scene in a heap behind the monument, all jumbled. Mary's head's missing.
Upset pastor Mike Openshaw says the display helped cover a car crash damage from 5 weeks ago in their concrete sign.
If it's their property, they can repair the sign, and if it's our property, then we can display the nativity.
The baby in a manger went up Tuesday, but gone by Thursday. An email from RMA to the pastor reads, "Be advised, the nativity display placed on the broken wall is not acceptable and requires immediate removal."
It's not like Oceanside.
The city of Oceanside sent this property map showing a red line where the nativity scene was on church property.
This is from God, and we're coming here and promoting not only Christmas, but the reason for Christmas.
We did not hear back from RMA even after we reached out to the company over the last 2 days. They did get back to the pastor saying that the church would be billed for damage done to the flowers from the hay from the manger scene. The city of Oceanside is expected to be out here tomorrow morning. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, choir. Good morning. And Merry Christmas. Do you notice anything new up here today on our stage? Thank you, Jason. Believe it or not, this is the nativity scene that our property association removed from our property and left in a jumbled heap behind our monument, which had previously been damaged by a car accident. What a story this has been. As you can see, it's really no worse for the wear. It's ready to be put back this afternoon where it belongs, back at our corner of College and Mesa. Which again we verified is 7 feet inside our own property line. Anyone who would like to join us for a candlelight dedication is welcome to come at 4 o'clock. We'll have the candles. All you have to do is show up. No protests today, just a quiet, prayerful dedication. Jason's going to come, lead us in singing Silent Night. It's going to be a nice way to restore some peace to our troubled community after all the fires and things we've had going lately. One of our members has gotten some solar spotlights to light it at night because there's nowhere to plug it in down there, so that's going to be a nice addition. We would have put it up last Sunday, but some amazing developments happened. I shared that one of our members had offered to pay for our monument to be repaired at no cost to the church. And her worker to do this was available this past week and thought they could do it in 2 days. So there was no point in putting it up and then taking it down and repairing it, putting it back up again. But then something else happened. On the way out the door last Sunday after services, another member of our church, a couple who owns a concrete company, offered to repair the sign themselves for free and said, have that first donor just write the church a check of what they would have paid to repair it, and everybody's going to come out ahead on this. So that's what we're going to do. So to summarize, the nativity will be put back up today. The monument will be repaired at no cost to the church. It'll be repaired sometime after Christmas. An equivalent donation will be given to the church to help with our cash shortfall, and we can all enjoy some peace on earth. For now. What a story this has been.
Okay, guys, I'd like to read a short passage of Scripture because this is what it's really all about. So Joseph also went up to the town of Nazareth in Galilee. We are prepared in room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature stand. Oh, come let us.
North County Church put their nativity scene back on display today after a battle with their HOA. Members of the Lighthouse Christian Church sang Christmas songs and lit candles to celebrate. Pastor Mike Openshaw says the HOA president tore down the nativity scene 2 weeks ago, claiming it was on their property.
We just are surprised and feel sad that someone felt the need to involuntarily remove religious expression from our property of the church. It's surprising.
The pastor says a city engineer came out and determined the property actually belongs to the church. He says the nativity scene will stay up through the Christmas season.